Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing the Evil Within 2 on the GeForce GTX 750 Ti. For FPS monitoring, I'll be using CAM. If you want to download this software, there's a link down in the description. And if you enjoy the content and want to support the channel directly, there are affiliate links down in the description as well. So the Evil Within 2, I'll be doing 1080p, 900p and 720p. To skip none of those sections of the video, check the description below. So I have some bad news. I was unable to get 60 frames per second even by lowering everything to the minimum on 720p. So my objective in this video is to try and stay over 30 frames per second. So I'm trying to get the best quality possible without dropping below 30 frames per second. On 1080p, that's pretty much a mix between low and medium, and I overclocked the GTX 750 Ti. Then on 900p and 720p, I disabled the overclock, since not everyone will overclock, I know that for a fact, and I will just crank up the settings a little bit more. On 900p, I just used better level of detail compared to 1080p, the rest was pretty much the same. And on 720p I use ultra settings, but I lowered some stuff to high like shadows, and I lowered depth of field to medium instead of ultra, and those settings were enough to be over 30 frames per second the majority of the time. On cutscenes it might drop below 30, but on cutscenes you're not controlling the game, so I didn't think that it was much of a problem. But you'll notice very low GPU usage, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So in the options menu, apart from resolution and all that kind of stuff, we have an FOV slider. The default FOV was quite low, the character took a big chunk of the screen, so I recommend keeping this at 90 degrees. You can also choose film grain or chromatic aberration on rough, and like on Doom we have the performance metric option, which in this case only gives you frame times and frame rates, which is nice. And then in the advanced options we have the level of detail option, which is enabled or disabled. In this case, enabling it means that it will limit the level of detail, so you have less detail on distant objects to get better performance. So if it's disabled, it means that it's more demanding. Then we have object motion blur, camera motion blur, which I don't usually like motion blur, but in this game it's very well done. It doesn't bother you when you're aiming or anything like that. It just looks fluid, but it's a hit to the frame rate, so I recommend disabling this if you're having trouble with performance. Then we have depth of field quality, the DOF, which you can turn it off, low, medium, high or ultra. I recommend lowering it to medium. I had a big hit in performance, at least on my end, when I'm aiming down sights. Other than that, it's fine. Then we have screen space ambient occlusion and SSR. SSR is screen space reflections. Both of those options are also a bit hit to the frame rate, so I recommend playing with those settings and see how it goes. Then we also have volumetric lighting, which are the God rays, pretty much. You can call them that way. On anti-aliasing we have disabled, FXAA, TAA, or a mix of FXAA and TAA. I noticed a small hit in performance using this setting, so no problems there. And shadow quality we have low, medium, high or ultra, and again I recommend lowering this if you're having trouble with performance. Pretty much all the options here have a noticeable impact in performance, so I recommend just adjusting the overall quality. For example, you want to lower the settings instead of changing individual stuff, going into the overall quality and try low, medium, high or ultra. And if you want to tweak it a little bit, just play with the depth of field, SSR and motion blur. With those I usually get the frame rate bump I need, but overall this game is not running that good. On all my cards I wasn't able to get 60 frames per second constant, even using the GTX 1060. The game just loves to drop below 60 frames per second, it's not fully utilizing the GPU. For some reason it's around 50 to 80%, it doesn't go any higher, and there's no reason to do so. If I lower the resolution it still does, it's not a CPU thing. I tried better CPUs and this still happened, so it seems to be just a problem with the game. Let's hope that this is fixed with a patch. And we're missing a texture quality option, which I don't understand why. Maybe it's hidden somewhere but I didn't find it. But if you have a 2GB VRAM card, you get over the 2GB limit, so we will start using RAM and page file to fill in the gaps, so keep that in mind. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Okay. Let's see if I can find this signal he mentioned.
We're screwed.
That must be the signal O'Neill mentioned. If it keeps breaking apart like this, there won't be any Union to search. I gotta try to find that signal. Okay. Let's see if I can find this signal he mentioned.
There's too many force.
That must be the signal O'Neill mentioned. If it keeps breaking apart like this, there won't be any Union to search. I gotta try to find that signal. Shit. Hopefully that did the trick.